Hello everyone, this is Power again, and today I will perform a debriefing on S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S clan / organization / group of friends. I would have loved to have commented on this earlier, but seeing I'm a member of the Mantle project, we have a self-imposed policy of not supporting or criticizing the actions of current clans or organizations in order to maintain our neutrality. With that said, some of the points I will make here will involve clans that still exist, but these points must be covered as they involve the actions of people who are members of both the clans in question and the S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S group. It is important to note that this video will make heavy use of editing the information that appeared in the original S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S video. While I will use selective quoting, I can assure you that this is not done in order to mislead the viewer, and that the ideas conveyed in the original video are intact despite my editing. To further clarify any possible confusion, a link to the original video will be posted below. If you feel that I have misquoted or misled the viewer, please feel free to comment below. Finally, the opinions in this video are solely my opinions and do not reflect the views of the other members of the Mantle project. With that said, let's get started. As you may know, on February 21st, 2014, the S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S clan posted a new video on their channel announcing their end. This video also made numerous other claims, as well as stated the group's original objective. In this video, I'll be breaking down the contents of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R film, as well as commenting on various other S.T.A.L.K.E.R-related information that is publicly available at the time of this video's uploading. From there, I will critique the critical errors that the S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S group made in their strategy, the hypocrisy in their claims, possible lies or errors in the video, as well as clarifying why I believe that they were a clear and definite threat to the community that they claimed they were attempting to improve. Before I begin the analysis of this video, I will play a clip stating the current roster of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S organization provided by Newts.
This will be the official roster of stalkers from the primary director myself, Newts. Yes, all along with me and Undead Nexus, we are the so-called leaders of stalkers. Every assumption thus far in our third generation have been false. No, Omnis is not the leader. Stab Jesse hasn't been around at all for this third generation, so he's not the leader either. Road Zombie rarely plays Xbox and barely took part in this generation. Thus far, the main group members have been Omnis, aka the Shoe Burglar, HXS Guillotine 7, Nuclear Black Eye, Suicide Panda aka Purple Haze, Kurt A 051 S2 aka Master Raglan, Slayer Source UK, XX Newtsy, Undead Nexus, and X9 Ross. Now this is not all the stalkers, these are just the most active and participating members.
It is important to note that he explicitly states the list he provided is not all the S.T.A.L.K.E.R members. However, later in the video, he makes this claim.
With all the members revealed, you can sit back and quell the stalker scare. It's over.
Both statements cannot be true. As such, we must assume that the list provided is incomplete. With this incomplete roster in mind, let's continue on to the body of the video with the first series of claims made by the stalkers.
This community's fate has already come to reality without our intervention. The use of mods, post booters, and the large amount of hate for one another has proved that the community is well beyond saving.
The fate, which in their opinion is the end of the community, has come without their intervention. While I will note that the wording of this sentence is suggestive, I will ignore that, instead focus on the claim that mods have damaged the community, quote, without their intervention. This is ironic because one of the members of the S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S clan, which is described as active, is Slayer Source UK, and if we look at his channel, you can see that he has an entire video series dedicated to publicizing mods. Let us also note that these videos are not obscure. Instead, these videos are some of the most widely viewed videos from the community in recent memory, reaching over 25,000 views collectively. How can S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S make the claim that they have not had a hand in the end of the community, that they claim was partly caused by mods, when one of their active members is the primary source of mod proliferation in the community? In the next clip, S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S make the claim that although they are rumored to destroy clans, that rumor is false.
Yes, saving. You think we're here to destroy every clan, that we have such boastful intentions. This is false.
Then later in the video, they make these claims.
On why we were so successful for the past 2 years on instilling paranoia and the shutdown of major clans. Our first go-around was a massive success with the destruction of Voltage and the UN First Generation.
While myself and anybody who has been in the community for any amount of time knows better than to believe the ridiculous claim that S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S destroyed the UN, or even Voltage for that matter, the facts behind that statement are not important. Instead, it is the ideas that are critical. This claim by stalkers makes it clear that they are at least willing to pursue the destruction of clans. This raises two important questions. What clans have they attempted to destroy, and what makes a clan a potential target for stalkers? Finally, even if the impossible is true, and stalkers did destroy the UN, this would make their entire objective hypocritical at best. The old community was ended by the collapse of the UN. This begs the question, if you missed the old community so much, why did you actively pursue the destruction of the single clan that was central to the stability of the old community? There's no clear explanation to this. Moving on, next we see that stalkers believe that the community should be based on fun and red versus blue style combat. It should not be focused on insulting or putting down other members of the community.
We will leave our channel here as a beacon, hoping that this Halo gaming community will change its ways and go back to the old days of just blatantly having fun with these kind of RPG communities, instead of putting down and insulting participants.
This is ironic because the Stalkers channel clan, the same channel that put up this video, also made less than kind comments to other people, such as this, and this, or better yet, this, and this, and this, or this, or this, or this, or this. I think you get the idea at this point. Next, we hear that Newton and Rozombie talked about mods and system tampering, likely to include network manipulation and host booting, and claimed that they wanted nothing to do with this activity.
Lost by modded game mechanics and system tampering. We both agreed that this is something we wish to take no part in.
However, also in this video, Newt makes it clear that stalkers have used both mods and host booting, and that they have, quote, come into play with us.
The game is something way more serious. It has even tainted our own group. Although we use mods and host booters, these have come into play with us.
If anyone can tell me what coming into play with us means, or how it is at all justification, I would love to hear it and look forward to reading that comment below. To be clear, this is no good justification. If you're fighting the use of chemical weapons, you don't use chemical weapons. If you're fighting a war against nuclear weapons, you don't use nuclear weapons. If you're fighting a war against host booting, you don't host boot. Stalkers did. This is hypocrisy at its best. Even if they didn't approve of this action taken by their members, there is no reason to believe they took action to stop it. If you say that you did something bad, you normally also make the claim about what you did to correct it. The fact that Newt admitted the use or deployment of any disciplinary action against these host-booting stalkers heavily implies that no action was taken. Now that the majority of the video analysis is out of the way, I would like to take a look at the far more important topic at hand, the strategy and objective of the Stalkers group. For this, I will use the words of the Stalkers, beginning with Newt's.
With our return, we hope to have united the community against us, but instead we saw clans fight against each other instead of unifying to claim the base as their own.
In essence, the underlying idea behind Stalkers is that war is good for the community. To better understand this reasoning, I would like to take a look at a few quotes from Stalkers and Shoeburglar comments on the Mantle project and the League of Nations website. While I can confirm that Shoeburglar is the author for the comment on the Mantle project website, I'm not capable of verifying the identity of the commenters on the LN website, although seeing that they have stood for this long, I can assume that they are valid. The following comments appeared originally on the Mantle Project.weebly.com or the League of Nations website. The comments have been copy-pasted onto these documents in order to more easily read them and to highlight certain areas that are critical for understanding. The author's name, time of posting, and the content of the comment itself have not been edited in any way from the original post to this document. If you wish to verify that, you can go to the website yourself, view the comment section, and compare them to what you're seeing here. The links will be provided below. Starting with the comments that appeared on the Mantle project, the shoe burglar here, which is a verified member of Stalkers, simply asks the question, does anybody believe that war helps the community? He then lays forth 5 reasons as to why war would be beneficial to the community. It causes an increase in media. It is fun. It causes clan growth for any clan involved in the war. It helps small clans grow and make a name for themselves. And the entire community grows due to the public media of the war itself. He then clarifies he posted this because he feels the war is largely ignored or misunderstood. My only reply to this, because at this point in time I was already aware he's affiliated with Stalkers, but once again, neutrality, I couldn't comment on that. So I simply state that this view is dangerously simplistic in nature, and if anything, the basic misunderstanding you appear to be making has historically damaged the community as a whole. I will clarify what I meant by that comment later in this video. He then moves on to his next comment, which is, what I'm getting at is that without these terrorist groups is an old community term, the community becomes inactive. I feel that the community's gotten smaller, and it's going to get smaller. You need a happy balance between warmongers and pacifists. A lot of people say that late 2010 and early 2011 was the best times of the community. Why? Because this is when a large amount of terrorist clans were fighting the powers of the community. He then links it over to the League of Nations website forums, and then continues on. These comments are really trivial. Shadow Sniper replies. I'm not going to break down his comment because those aren't my words. And now if we go over to the comments that appeared on the League of Nations website, Stalker's clan comments, we need one big war. Pretty much repeating the whole war is good for the community statement. I omitted Spartan Joe's comment because it really wasn't important to the conversation, but his reply includes this. When somebody does try the community terrorists, they're immediately ignored or dismissed as bad kids, when in reality they have as much potential as anybody else because they don't share or view the same goals. Repeats the whole 2011-2012. It was good for the community to have these good versus terrorist clans. Moving on. Yeah, so Shoe Burglar here, once again, says he can provide a complete list, which he effectively did on the Mantle project. Moving back over to the League of Nations website. Stalkers feels that it's, in so many words, the community's a circle of life, and that these big clans are inflated by media, and then these wars help the smaller clans build up while bigger clans fall, etc. The community is very much like real-life society, and without news, nobody understands what's going on. And without wars, governments would most likely fall. Society would fail because wars actually have its profit. Okay, so with that out of the way, I'm now going to go into my analysis and my opinion on what if war is beneficial to the community. To answer this question, yes, war is good for the community. However, it is good in moderation and when it involves 2 conventional clans. This is where Stalkers failed. Stalkers is not a conventional clan by any means. You cannot fight the Stalkers in a conventional war setting. The fact that they had to clarify their roster makes it abundantly clear that they intended for identities to be secret and difficult to find. In a conventional war, there are clear sides. As Newt said it, a red versus blue setting. Stalkers failed at this miserably. If you go through their other videos produced by the Stalkers channel, you hear claims that they are legion and they are among us. Do you know what that sounds like? Guerrilla warfare. Guerrilla warfare is centered upon making it difficult to find your target, and specializes in hit-and-run tactics. Stalkers employing the raids are a poster child for this method of warfare. However, unlike conventional wars, which have been known to raise domestic morale, examples of this being World War II, America, England, and other allied nations, guerrilla warfare has the exact opposite effect. It demoralizes and discourages the conventional army, which in this community setting would be the average clan. Real-life examples of this would be the current war on terror, Vietnam, or for the British on a more primitive level, the American Revolution. There is no winning this war because the attacker, which in this case would be Stalkers, simply has nothing to lose. In this way, if anything, Stalkers have effectively damaged the community by employing military tactics that are designed to demotivate and discourage your opponent. As such, the clans in this community acted in their own best interest, which was to avoid the Stalkers group, effectively preserving their clan's morale. To say this is running from your opponents is absurd. Secondly, if you want to talk about maybe the terrorists in the old community different, you need to look no further than myself. If anybody is qualified to speak about this subject, it is me. I held number one on the UN blacklist since the list was created. Newt and Schuberger are fundamentally incorrect about their understanding of terrorists in the old community. These terrorists led or were members of conventional clans. For example, Avenged, although not my favorite, was one of the most aggressive and notorious terrorists, leading countless Soviet Union and USSR-based clans against the DoD, FleetCom, UN, etc. The UF at one time was perceived as a threat. When I was in B100, it was seen as a war-hungry clan, especially with Sam Berserker and Pepsi, two other UN blacklist members, in B100 at the same time. The point is, these terrorists were involved in clans, with myself perhaps being the only notable exception. To say they were anything like stalkers is a self-centered delusion at best. Finally, and perhaps most damaging, is the fact that attempting to fight back against stalkers, even the more publicly known members, would have been suicide. To clarify this, let's look at perhaps the two most obvious stalker members, Schuberger and S.T.A.L.K.E.R.S UK. As it stands, they are both members of the League of Nations, and the League of Nations is likely the most capable clan in the community at this time. One of its leaders, S.T.A.L.K.E.R, was a stalker, and at the time, leader of Nation 9, Schuberger was also a stalker, as well as various other members of Nation 9. If you were raided by Nation 9 members, they likely changed their uniforms into stalker uniforms, then attacked you, then changed back to their LN uniform following the raid. As such, if you attempted to pursue these individuals, it appears as if you were attacking the LN and declaring war on them. Seeing that a war against the LN is not practical for many clans, especially with DGA still fresh in many minds, it is impossible to effectively fight back against these stalker members. S.T.A.L.K.E.R and Schuberger effectively established a safe haven for stalkers, whose sole objective, as described earlier, was to provoke and attack clans. If this is not state-sponsored terrorism, I don't know what is. One last point I'd make. The video makes it pretty clear that Stalkers likely has not ended at all and has simply announced its end to avoid the sudden growth and negative outlash that has occurred. Remember, since the LN, and more specifically Nation 9, was effectively serving as a Stalker's home base, the increase in negative feedback would have likely become a point of concern for the operational safety of the LN. As such, to announce a disbandment would help alleviate this pressure. Besides that, the precedent set by Stalkers is that disbanding means relatively little. In the video, Newt's comments on how the Stalkers supposedly disbanded before, but in reality simply stepped back from the action.
First generation. After Phase 3, the Stalkers quote-unquote ended, rather we fell back in our chairs and just played games with each other as friends.
This is similar, if not exactly the same, to what has just occurred.
We will see it around this community, but not under the Stalkers banner.
Since the only previous example of a Stalker disbandment was effectively an effort to avoid pressure, we must assume this is the same thing. Finally, let's not forget the blatant and intentional. They are still around at the end of the video, clearly suggesting that they have not disbanded at all. With that said, I will let the film run. I thank you all for your time and hope you seriously think about what I've stated in this video. This is Power, out.
There was no need for us. You've done it to yourselves.